So let's talk about Taylor Swift. The first musician to ever become a billionaire pretty much just from her music. But this is not your average story about a pop star getting rich. Nope, it's way more than that. This is really a case study in power, in brilliant strategy, and how to build a modern empire. We're going to break down how she did it, how she almost lost everything, and how she turned a total crisis into a weapon that made her more powerful than the industry that built her in the first place. So, what is the real story here? Is Taylor Swift the hero who took on a greedy, exploitative music machine? Or is she actually the most brilliant manipulator of that exact same machine that we have ever seen? Well, the answer, it's complicated, and it tells us a whole lot about the new rules of fame and money. And this quote right here, it's pretty much the key to her entire playbook. I mean, from day one, she's been laser focused on controlling her own story. And that defiant attitude, it isn't just a personality trait. It is the core of her business strategy. Every single obstacle just becomes another opportunity. To really get the Swift empire, we have to start at the very foundation. And that foundation isn't just a bunch of hit songs. It's something way more powerful, way more strategic. Her relationship with her fans. It's the engine that literally powers everything else. This right here, this is the secret sauce. See, other artists have fan bases, sure, but Taylor Swift built something that just feels different. The entire brand is engineered around this idea of a personal connection, the idea that she's your friend, going through the same breakups and triumphs as you are. So you don't just stream her music, you kind of subscribe to her life story. And you have to understand, this connection is incredibly tactical. It is not an accident. Her first manager even talked about how she didn't just see fans, she made them feel seen. At a time when pop stars felt so distant, she was remembering names, leaving little cryptic Easter eggs in her videos for them to solve, and even inviting fans to her actual house for listening parties. I mean, who does that? These things create a loyalty that's so intense, it goes way beyond just liking her music. It turns a fan base into a deeply invested community, and a very, very powerful one. Okay, so all that success, all that intense connection with her fans, it was all built on the music she wrote when she was just a teenager. And that brings us to the huge conflict that almost cost her everything, the moment she lost control of her own life's work. Now, to get this conflict, we gotta understand what masters are. It's not the song itself. She always owned the lyrics and melody. The master is the original recording. Think of it like the master file. Whoever owns that specific audio file gets to control how it's used, in a movie, a commercial, wherever. It's where the real money, and honestly, the real control is. So here's how it all went down. At 15, like pretty much any new artist, she had zero power. She signed a standard industry contract which gave the label ownership of her master recordings in exchange for them, investing in her career. The problem blew up years later when that label was sold to Scooter Braun, a music manager she saw as an enemy. And just like that, her entire musical history, her teenage diary set to music, now belonged to him. And this really gets to the two sides of the coin here. For Taylor, these weren't just sound files. They were her voice, her actual diary, her life's work. But for the industry, they were just assets on a balance sheet, a financial product. They were the main thing being sold in a $300 million deal. This clash between the emotional and the purely transactional is the absolute heart of this whole fight. And here's the industry's defense, laid out by the guy who signed her, Scott Barrecha. In his world, the label is the bank. They took a huge financial risk on some unknown teenager, so they get to own what comes out of it. He basically said it wasn't personal. It's just business. That's simply how the machine has always worked. So she's faced with this system that's designed to work against her. She couldn't change the past, so what did she do? She came up with a completely unprecedented plan to take back her future. A move so brilliant it would turn the whole industry on its head. This was her masterstroke. The plan was just audacious and, frankly, genius. She found a little clause in her old contract, and she exploited it with military precision. She couldn't buy her old masters, so she decided to make them worthless. She re-recorded everything, creating a brand new set of masters that she owned completely. Then she added that simple little phrase, Taylor's version, to all the titles. It was a giant blinking sign to her army of fans. This is the one I own. This is the one you should listen to. The effect was immediate. It was like a sonic boom. When the first re-recording, Fearless Taylor's version, shot to #1 on the charts, it sent a massive shockwave through the whole music business. It proved her theory right. She showed that a direct connection with your fans could be more powerful than a record label's legal contract. In one move, she created a whole new playbook for any artist who wanted to fight for their work. But, and this is a huge but, this act of artistic freedom also became the foundation for something else. One of the most aggressive, most profitable business models we've ever seen in music. This crusade for ownership was about to become a masterclass in capitalism. And this is where the story gets a lot more complicated. Let's be real. She convinced millions of people to buy the exact same music that they already owned for a second time. So was this a righteous fight for artist rights, or was it just the cleverest, most profitable recycling program ever invented? The machine she built is incredibly sophisticated. The re-recordings came with these vault tracks, songs that didn't make the cut the first time, right? Now they're repackaged as rare, must-have content. Then each album gets released in all these different vinyl colors and special editions, basically using the psychology of collecting to get die-hard fans to buy the same album multiple times. And that strategy just scaled up to the Eras Tour and the concert film, repackaging and reselling the same content over and over for maximum profit. If you want to really get the scale of this, just look at this number, $4,000. That was the price for some tickets on this secondary market for the Eras Tour. For one ticket. That's more than most people's rent. A concert was transformed into a luxury good. And the result of all that? The Eras Tour became the highest-grossing tour in history, blowing past the $1 billion mark, $1 billion. This wasn't just a successful tour, it was a financial phenomenon. It was proof of the unbelievable power of her brand and her business model. This quote really nails the core criticism of her methods. The argument goes that instead of tearing down the exploitative parts of the music industry, she just learned how to run them better and more ruthlessly than anyone else had before. She turned a legitimate problem into a new, even bigger profit machine. And all of this leads us to the central contradiction of the entire Taylor Swift empire. We can call it the Swift paradox. Yeah, this is where the paradox really hits you. The stated goal was fighting corporate greed, but the result was one of the most aggressive capitalist operations in entertainment. The goal was empowering artists, but the ticket prices literally priced out many of her working-class fans. The goal was owning her work, but the process involved selling the 15th vinyl variant of the same album to her most loyal supporters. So here's the crucial takeaway. She didn't break the machine. She didn't invent some new, fairer system for all artists. Her solution was to become so incredibly powerful, with money, with fan loyalty, with cultural weight, that the old system had no choice but to bend to her will and start working for her instead of against her. And what she's done is create a whole new template for stardom in the 21st century. The lesson here isn't just about making music. It's about creating better marketing. It's not about building a fan base. It's about building millions of friendships. And it's not just about selling your art. It's about selling your entire self, your whole story as the product. Which brings us right back to where we started. Did she break the machine, or did she just become its most successful product? Is she the hero who exposed the industry's flaws and showed artists a new way? Or is she the ultimate success story of that same old industry? A big machine that's great at making money off fans, except now the artist is the one running it. The answer, just like her legacy, is something we'll be debating for years to come.